It's time to rock and roll. This is Friday evening. I am Jordan Ballestiga. This is Kevin Marvel. This is Don Allen. This is the preview hub of Motor Racing Podcast. Gentlemen, 30 minutes. Great interview from uh Matt Jaskell yesterday. Great story. We see Don supporting the 2311, which is funny because I reached out to 2311 about an interview with Kurt Busch and Bubba Wallace. I'm awaiting, but it's a possibility that we're going to have Mr. Kurt Busch on the show within the next month or so. I'm waiting to hear back from James Hinchcliffe's camp about getting James Hinchcliffe on our show. So, gentlemen, weekend in racing. Y'all ready? Let's do this.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with NASCAR this weekend. We are in Richmond. We're going to do things a little backwards today. Most likely the topic would just be strictly NASCAR because F1's in Japan. We already know that's probably going to be a good race there.
Well, F1 doesn't have a race for, I think, another week or two.
Yeah, because it's Japan. So, and IndyCar's not again until the 21st. So, guess we just got NASCAR this weekend.
That's okay with me.
Ooh.
I'm good.
All right, so we got Richmond. Let's take a look at the entry list for. Oh, we only got the Cup Series this weekend. That don't make sense. Hold on, let me check.
Say Xfinity should be running. I think
there
Trucks
it
is
is.
taking
I knew
off
something
until
was. I clicked. Yeah. Well, currently, tonight in about 20 minutes, Virginia is for Racing Lovers 150 goes green for the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour at Richmond.
Correct.
So we got Modified, we got Xfinity, and we got Cup. Let's go ahead and do the entry list for Xfinity this weekend. What do we have? We have Parker Redsmoff, Jesse Love. Okay, in order we have Cole Custer, Sam Mayer, Jesse Love, Dawson Cramp, Anthony Alfredo. I call him Anthony Alfredo sauce. Morgan Bard, Justin Allgaier, Patrick Emerlin, Sammy Smith, Brandon Jones, Josh Williams is in the 11. Logan Bearden is in the 14th. For SS Greenlight Racing, Haley Deegan, AJ Allmendinger, Sheldon Creed, Taylor Gray, Eric Almirola is racing this weekend in the number 20 for Joe Gibbs Racing, Austin Hill, Corey Heim, Jeb Burton, Kyle Sieg, Blaine Perkins, Parker Resnick, that's a hard name to say, Ryan Vargas, Joey Gase, Matt DiBenedetto is making his Xfinity Series debut this weekend, number 38 for Viking Motorsports with RSS Racing, Ryan Sieg, Leland Honeyman, Ryan Ellis, Brendan Poole, Parker Klingerman, Jeremy Clements, Chandler Smith. Bubba Poland makes his NASCAR debut for the number 88 with Junior Motorsports, Kyle Weatherman, Josh Bilicki, Shane Van Gisbergen, and Riley Hurt. Gentlemen, of the list of drivers, who has the...
Come again, Jordan. You blared out for a minute.
Silence is it. Dead air is a killer, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Drivers I just announced. Series. Who is your winner and who is your underdog and who do you think could possibly win it all?
Kevin.
Fuck these headphones.
Xfinity goes this weekend. Underdog, I feel like Josh Williams is a big underdog going into this weekend. I mean, only a part-time ride with Colleague. But we remember the big incident last year about him parking the car on the start-finish line in Atlanta and then telling NASCAR that they could practically kiss his ass. I'm glad somebody stood up to do that because Kyle Busch is not being able to do that anymore. I think Josh Williams has got a good I mean, the Kaulig cars, he's in the 11 car. He's got good equipment. Josh Williams is a hell of a wheelman. So getting him some good equipment, I say that Josh Williams could probably get it done at Richmond this weekend. And Cup, I'm always going with Kyle Busch, but here the short tracks this year, man, Toyotas have been dominant. Nobody's been able to touch Toyota short tracks. I mean, Bristol Motor Speedway, we had Joe Gibbs Racing finish, most of the race running 1, 2, 3, and 4. Ty Gibbs has been this close. I hate to say because that's little silver spoon prick, but I say Ty Gibbs gets his first win this year, or his first career Cup win this week at Richmond.
Wow. That's a really great point with Ty Gibbs. I mean, the kid is so close every week. He's only getting better. I mean, shout out to Gibbs Equipment for getting a good car every week. For Xfinity, I might have to go with Junior Motorsports and Sammy Smith. He showed a lot of speed at short tracks last year. His first career win last year at Phoenix is a short track. Let's see what he's got tomorrow.
You know, Don, I'm going to agree with you on that one. As much as I have to pull for my girl Haley Deegan regardless, but as underdog-wise, I wouldn't be surprised if Bubba Poland, who is a short track expert, will come around and somehow win this race tomorrow for Junior Motorsports in the 88.
And they do have that 5th car in, so they've got an extra teammate, an extra ally out there.
Yes, they do. And I love Richmond. Love it.
To me, Richmond is one of the short tracks out there that's like kind of like it's almost like going to a casino with $5. You never know if you're going to walk out with that $5 or you're going to walk out with 20,000, man. Like Richmond's, just because of the driving style that you have to have at this particular short track, no other short track in the country drives like Richmond. With the banking and all that stuff. The brake usage. I mean, look, the brake packages that we've had this year already. Phoenix, we saw several drivers with brake package issues. I know the same package they used at Phoenix will be on the car for Richmond. So more braking at Richmond. Do we see brake failures? You know, and most of the brake failures that we saw in Phoenix were from Toyota, where we expect on a short track for them to be dominant. So do we see Toyota up front and then, you know, left and right like a Gateway last year? Blown rotor. Richmond, in its own little way, does, whether you bring a certain car to the track or not, Richmond always poses some sort of challenge for everybody. So it's always a gamble, and it's always anybody's game. But as far as, you know, if we're looking at stats and everything, I expect the Toyotas to run up front.
Correct. And we haven't even brought up the short track tire issues that we're still dealing with. The fall off on these tires at the short tracks, that's going to play a wild card for all these guys too, whether it be Chevrolet and Hendrick and those boys, or Toyota and Gibbs. You know, you just never know with these tires anymore. So that'll be a great thing to pay attention to throughout the race.
So I have some breaking news. ARCA Menard Series West race at Irwindale Speedway has been postponed until July 6th.
They having weather issues?
I'm not entirely sure why. I'm going to see if I can figure it out. Let's see. The event was scheduled to be the second race of the season. It will now be held on July 6, 2024. It is postponing due to, let's see what's going on. With unfavorable weather forecast for the week in the Southern California area, kind of like how it was with the Clash.
Right.
Damn, man, I really wish NASCAR. The 2 races this year, this one being this and the Clash, NASCAR, as far as the weather goes, I feel like NASCAR has been hitting the nail on the head as far as the weather. You know, making the call that they did for the Clash and running on a Saturday night. I hate that it was so last minute, but it's either last minute or you don't get a race until Wednesday or Thursday, and these haulers and these cars have to be at a different racetrack on Thursday. Right. So good call by NASCAR. You know, I know it's just the ARCA Menard Series. Who gives a shit? I'm just kidding.
But
No, it's always better to be
Also-
proactive in these situations, and you want to make sure to give the fans the best chance at a show too. And they can't running it on Wednesday, which is not going to be good as far as
Yeah.
whether it's TV viewer, whether it's TV
correct.
or attendance at the racetrack. You know, a weekend date is going to have better viewings and attendance than if you run a Wednesday night race.
correct. And most people's flights are Sunday night or Monday morning. So
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, July 4th will be Arundel's second race for the ARCA Menard Series West. On July 4th, they'll be running the Napa Auto Parts 150, and then they'll be doing a doubleheader. So both races are going to be the 4th and the 6th of July at Arundel Speedway. I kind of miss when Arundel Speedway hosted the Toyota Showdown. I loved that race.
Toyota Showdown. Is that when they were bringing like the Toyota GRs and the Supras and all that stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that I could get into. I mean, the GRs, the G84s, the Supras, and all that stuff, bringing all those Toyotas down. It's kind of like the Miata series.
right.
I mean, the Mazda Miata series. There's some of those races that I watch, and I'm like, I don't much care for the cars, but those guys are throwing those cars around like nobody's business.
Is that
And
one of those
then-
series? I'm sorry.
And then the ARCA Menard Series season will return on April 20th at Kevin Harvick Raceway in Bakersfield, California.
Oh wow.
Bakersfield, such a shithole. I've been there. It is. It's a nothing but Bakersfield ain't nothing but a shithole. Bakersfield and Barstow.
Well, they got a racetrack, so they got me beat.
Hey, that's probably the only reason I go out there. It's either that or end up on the road or on the side of the road dead from some getting mugged. So I'm either out there enjoying the race or I'm laying in the ditch. One of the two.
Right. But no, it's like, but like you said, NASCAR's dodged a bullet this year, making the right decisions with weather.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, running the Clash, and which, in my opinion, move it out of the Coliseum. In my honest opinion, because it's as much as I enjoy short track racing, those cup cars are not built for a small track like that. That is
No.
more like a more like a late model track.
Correct.
I mean, look at the NASCAR Mexico. The NASCAR Mexico Series was built for that track because they're kind of like late model cars.
Yes. Right. I mean, you get a lot of turn because the wheelbase isn't so wide. And everything is so different between those and the next gen cars. These next gen cars are not meant. I mean, if you look at the Clash, doesn't matter how they angle into the corners, the ass end is always sliding off on, when they're trying to bite and get off the corner. I could see I'll take it to Bristol, Martinsville, something like that. Leave it off the quarters. We're got top speeds of maybe 90 miles an hour, and every time somebody hits the bumper to somebody, you're not just taking one or two people out. There goes half the field.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
and then NASCAR talking about taking the Clash to Mexico City next year.
Now, I would be okay with that.
It just depends. I mean, because
But
Mexico
most
City, once
likely-
again, it is a quarter-mile racetrack. So, I mean, we're going to get the same product out of it regardless.
Well, I guess the track that they want to take it to is like Auto Club Speedway, or the old Auto Club Speedway, shall I say? That still breaks my heart about Auto Club Speedway because I loved that racetrack. It was such a beautiful track.
Yeah, got a chance to go, and I hate that they tore it down. I mean, I'm not
I mean,
necessarily upset we're getting another short track, but
mhm.
then again, Auto Club has just been through the years. It's been so iconic. We had Kyle Busch's 200th win take place at Fontana.
His first, not only that was also
Yes,
Jimmy
his
Johnson's
first
first
win.
win.
Let's see the win in Kyle Busch's win in 2013. I hate all these wins involve Kyle Busch, but 2013 when Logano and Denny Hamlin took each other out for Kyle to come from third.
That was hilarious. Speaking of taking each other out, my
and then-
favorite NASCAR moment. Yep. But
Auto Club Speedway, once again, Kyle Busch running the 54 car for KBM. I remember him getting on the radio, them calling for 2 tires, and they dropped the jack early and something happened, and Kyle came over the radio and was just, put 4 fucking tires on it. He was like, why can't we get our shit together? This is fucking embarrassing. Fucking embarrassing. And I'm like, I mean, I think that race he actually ended up firing like 10 laps to go. I think that was the race he ended up firing his entire pit crew.
Oh wow!
It was.
They switched.
It's like
They switched pit crews after that, didn't they? Within the
Yeah,
team.
and nobody else after that. I believe the tire carrier and the jack man, the tire carrier, I believe, is working for Austin Dillon now, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And then the jack man, I think he's over for Kyle Larson.
Okay.
But then you had the Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson incident just a couple years, or was it last year?
I think so.
Yeah, and then the whole stack up and all that stuff. So, I mean, Auto Club has always been one of those places that, no matter what's going on, what the temp is, who's out front, it always produced a good race. There was always something good about that racetrack, and the fact that they took something like that from us.
Well, we got to ask ourselves both sides of it, right? Why did they choose to take that track away from us? They wouldn't have done it if they didn't have legitimate cause and reason, unless they thought they could produce a better race. So maybe we can see what is produced in the future and then kind of make an assessment off whether.
I believe they said what about it was more or less revenue. I don't think they were bringing in the attendance that they needed to fill that size of a racetrack. And I think that with NASCAR trying to go back to its roots, we have the grassroots dirt racing and all that stuff, the sections they've been doing before the race. Maybe NASCAR is trying to get back on the shorter tracks, the miles, the half miles, quarter miles. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing them put dirt tires on the Cup cars and run the sand road course at Daytona.
If they could.
How interesting. But I think the problem with the sand is with how low profile these cars sit, and especially with the flat bottoms, those cars are getting up high centering everywhere, no matter
That's the only thing. I know with the last car, it'd have been a whole lot more possible.
Absolutely.
Because of the ballast and all that stuff. But
even those cars were getting trimmed real low to the ground, man. I mean, you couldn't even put a postcard underneath the splitter in the ground on some of those cars.
I know. And but hopefully the short track, they said it's going to be a mix. It's a hybrid. So they're putting Martinsville, Bristol, and Dover all into one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting.
Interesting.
Yep. We got the Cup Series at Richmond. You know what? I am going to go for, I hate to say it, but I'm going to agree with what Kevin said earlier. I think Ty Gibbs is going to get his first Cup win this weekend.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That kid's hungry, man. That kid's so hungry. Kevin, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
I've
seen this kid race twice live in person. He's focused. He's determined. He's got the equipment. Can't argue that. It's just about the right pieces falling in place for him. He's going to rattle off a couple wins this year, I think. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of them is at Richmond this Sunday.
Well, I mean, the Toyotas have been strong on the short tracks. They've shown that all year long. And then they were very strong at the road course at Coda. Joe Gibbs Racing was up front. Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Ty Gibbs was up there. Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace. So most of those guys, whether it's whatever they're doing with whether it's simulator, S&T data, because I know we're not getting enough fucking practice time to be able to make the cars.
They're not getting track time, but they're getting.
No, definitely not.
So I mean, and I got to go with Ty Gibbs, but I mean, like you said, the focus. He's got the equipment, and I mean, all these haters, man. I would say I am a hater, and the only reason
guilty of that.
The Ty Gibbs issue pushing. I feel like that's why Kyle Busch got pushed out of JGR, was to make room for his grandson.
Absolutely.
And
I agree 100%.
I got to stand behind Kyle 100%, 110%, no matter what. And after what. Even before the whole Cup thing, Ty Gibbs, the thing with Ty Gibbs and Sam Mayer at Martinsville, where Ty didn't even want to take his helmet off, but he wanted to throw punches. To me, that's not a driver. If you're going to talk shit and you're going to want to throw punches, take your helmet off.
Right.
If you're going to throw punches, take punches like a man. And to me, that's where I lost all respect for Ty Gibbs. And then the following race, the same year, he boots Brandon Jones out of the way. So.
Is it fair to say that being so youthful had a lot to do with that, and maybe he has a chance to kind of – it seems like he's tried to rebrand himself for about a full calendar season. He seems to have tried to stay out of the way. He's tried to stay out of the media. He's trying to not get into it with drivers. He's raced really clean races too.
I mean, I agree with that, but and I hate to say it because Kyle Busch got pushed out, but Ty Gibbs right now reminds me of a young Kyle Busch.
Absolutely.
Kyle was the same way. I mean, hot-headed. Look at the incidents between. I mean, look at him and Ron Hornaday at Texas, and all sorts of other stuff. I mean, the issues of Kevin Harvick at Darlington and Tony Stewart at Bristol. Ty needs to step back and continue what he's doing. Stay out of the media. Keep his mouth shut. And keep his head down and start winning these races. And maybe people will finally be like, okay, this kid might not be so bad after all. Because the kid's got driving skill. I won't take that away from him. He's a hell of a wheelman. But being a prick about it, that's where I kind of draw the line. I'm like, I get you got to have your persona and all that stuff, but it already doesn't look good on you when Granddaddy owns the team and you pushed out a 2-time champion.
Right. And to be fair on Ty's end, and I'm not a Ty Gibbs fan, but I'm also not rooting against him. Kyle looked like he was getting checked out, once 22 was coming to an end. He was, or I'm sorry, when 21 was coming to an end, 22 season, he rattled off one win in the next gen car. It just mentally, he looked like he was ready to start a new chapter for himself.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think Richard Childress has allowed Kyle Busch, especially after this past week at COTA. We haven't seen Kyle Busch get in somebody's face over some shit in a while. And I think finally this one, with the respect that Kyle had for Christopher, I mean, Christopher drove for Kyle. They were teammates for a while, whether Kyle was running Xfinity or, when they were full-time Cup. I think Kyle feels like, he's been done dirty, and Richard Childress is allowing Kyle Busch to be Kyle Busch.
And I think that's going to pay dividends for Kyle. Probably rattle off a championship in this next gen car.
Yep. So, with the time we have remaining, shifting gears. Joke. My joke. Bad joke. So, shifting gears over to Supercross. They are getting deep into the season. Their season is pretty much over with the Supercross portion. They will be in St. Louis this weekend. Here is your overall point standings. For the 450 Supercross 2024, Jet Lawrence has a 16-point lead over second place Cooper Webb. Eli Tomac is in 5th. Malcolm Stewart is in 10th. With your 250 SX West, Levi Kitchen has an 8-point lead over second place RJ Hampshire. And in the 250 SX East, Cameron Mikado has a 2-point lead over Tom Vile, and then Haley Deegan's brother Hayden is sitting in 4th. So you see what happened last year. Hayden just came out of nowhere and won the championship last year.
I heard that, but see, it's funny because at 30 years old, my biological dad rode professional motocross for Metal Militia. He rode with likes of the guys Jeremy McGrath and Ricky Carmichael. All these new guys besides Brian Deegan and the related to the Deegans. I'm so old and I haven't caught up with motocross after Jeremy and Ricky retired that I literally the only name that you threw out there that I even knew was Deegan. I think it's just been that long since I've actually sat down and watched motocross because the bikes aren't the same as they used to be in the late 90s and the early 2000s when everybody could just bring what the hell they wanted. They built their bikes, they came and raced. Now there's so much damn rules in the sport, it's not even funny.
Right.
Do you think the rules that they put in place are to help some of those smaller teams have a chance at competing with some of these larger teams? That way it's not just the same people winning championships every year.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not against all the rules, but there's definitely some rules that I'm like, we definitely could have done without that. This rule covers so much of what you're already trying to cover with this other rule that it's just mixing everything up, making it harder. Some of the rules I think need to be in place because, like you said, I'm tired of seeing the same people win and the same people winning championships. We don't want to see we don't want to see a Supercross Jimmy Johnson and have somebody win 5 championships in a row.
Right.
And then helping the smaller guys out for those guys that don't have the money, that don't have the bikes. I mean, there's guys in there going and racing KTM and all that stuff, and they don't have the money to put in for the Yamaha and the Hondas and all this stuff. So yes, I will agree that a lot of those rules have helped the little man out to be able to go out and run with the big guys out front. But there's also some of those that I believe they put some of those rules they put in to implement to help the smaller guy, but they made these rules and they put new rules in, so it kind of hurt the smaller guys, so the bigger guys could stay just that much farther ahead, if that makes sense.
So it was more gimmicky,
Yeah.
in a sense.
Yeah, and it was pretty much okay. So we're gonna act like we're giving to the small teams, but in reality, we're gonna give them a foot, but we're gonna go ahead and take a mile.
Okay.
So I mean, that's just the way that I felt about the rules.
Right. But yeah, we got a good weekend of racing coming on. And for those of you so I did some analysis of our show last night. 8% listen to our show in the Netherlands. 8%. Isn't that amazing?
That's pretty cool.
That is really amazing. Like 8%.
Especially for a country that's Formula One and Formula E dominant.
Exactly. So shout out.
Yeah.
So this is a shout out to our Netherlands listeners on Spotify in the Netherlands. Thank you for listening to our show. We're going to try our best to get some Dutch drivers on here and then, just expand. And I swear I'm looking at SVG at the bottom of the screen. I'm not even going to lie.
Look, I said the same thing to Don last night. He sent me his profile picture on Facebook with the glasses. I was like, you look like SVG from that angle.
I've heard a couple people tell me that. It's pretty flattering. And then
you're going to have to go buy you a race suit and go walk around the racetrack and just sign autographs, dude.
Right.
Free alcohol, free food. Who knows?
You never know, man.
But great weekend of racing. Tuesday, April 9th, we will not have a show because I will be at the She Believes Cup at Lower.com Field for the women's U.S. soccer team. So that week, we're going to have a show Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday that week to match our 3 shows.
Okay.
So we'll have our recap on Wednesday. We'll have our just bullshit part on Thursday, and then Friday will be our normal recap show. We also want to take the time, if you have the money, please donate to Colorado State University Animal Cancer Care Center for J. Howard Racing and of our own Ava Dobson. Also to the NASCAR Foundation, the Kyle Busch Foundation for IVF. Kevin, you can go ahead and explain more about that.
So Kyle and Samantha, for those of you guys that don't know Kyle and Samantha Busch, they really struggled with infertility with Samantha, and they finally, with IVF treatments, were able to, in 2015, have little Brexton Busch. And with that came the Bundle of Kyle and Samantha Busch Bundle of Joy Foundation. And every year they help at least 30 families have babies, people that are going through infertility and all that stuff. So it's very important. People who can't have kids, I wasn't supposed to be able to have my daughter, and there's a miracle daughter. Neither me nor my wife were supposed to be able to have kids. So for those guys and Samantha with all the miscarriages and all that stuff, I mean, it's a program that I hold near and dear to my heart just because, of the way that my life's played out. But any little bit helps. They also have silent auctions and stuff on there, so you can bid on race shoes, gloves, and all sorts of merchandise for Kyle that's been signed or stuff you just don't have access to normally, like race shoes, helmets. But go on there and donate. I mean, $10 is $10. $10 might help a family have a baby this year. So go on there and donate, and then check out the NASCAR Foundation and definitely the Joey Logano Foundation and Martin Truex Sherry Strong Foundation. And Kurt Busch also has a breast cancer awareness foundation that Kyle also helps him out with. So you guys check some of those out. Donate, if you can't, at least help spread awareness. Post on social media so people know that they're out there.
Yeah, those are all great.
Yeah, and also another great cause is Shriners Children's Hospital for kids in need, and also St. Jude's. Please, if you have the chance and you have a heart, please donate to St. Jude's because there's kids out there who are battling cancer, and every donation helps. And I'm going to put this out there. It's up to anybody who wants to. The Jeff Gordon Foundation. You cannot forget about the Jeff Gordon Foundation. So please donate to them. So until next week, gentlemen, enjoy Richmond.
Happy race weekend, guys. Y'all be safe. Thank
Yes,
you for listening.
sir.
And to our listeners, y'all have a wonderful weekend and a very happy Easter if you celebrate.
And if Denny Hamlin loses, our driver